AITA for refusing to apologize after I texted my dad's and his affair partner turned wife's bosses about their affair. I'm 20M. My parents split when I was 12 after my dad cheated. The woman he cheated with is now his wife. Back then, Mom and I lived in our old house while Dad moved in with her pretty fast. I'd do every other weekend at his new place, which looked like a catalog for midlife crisis starter pack. Brand new leather couch, cold white walls, a wine rack no one used, and a diffuser puffing ocean breeze over everything. I was not doing great. Puberty plus divorce plus watching my mom cry into dishwater is a fun combo. Dad kept giving me lines like actions have consequences and be the bigger person. Meanwhile, he was all smiles with the woman I was supposed to pretend wasn't the reason my family detonated. They had this forced cheerleader vibe around me. Overly sweet voices, double-checking that I liked the new place, laying out my favorite cereal like a bribe. 8 years passed. I barely saw him during high school, and after graduation, we went 4 years with almost no contact. Then, the other weekend, my grandparents invited the whole family to dinner. That included Dad and his now wife. I went out of respect for my grandparents, and because the invite said no drama. That was optimistic. Flashback to the original event. I was 12, at Dad's house, sulking and pretending my headphones made me invisible. They were cooking spaghetti and talking about a work thing. At some point, they left their phones on the coffee table and went into the kitchen. Both phones were unlocked. I didn't plan to do anything, I swear. But I stared at those screens and felt this hot, buzzing anger. I picked up Dad's phone. I wasn't a tech wizard, just a kid who knew where the Contacts app was. I searched Boss, found his manager and a couple of execs. I typed something like, wanted you to know that Dad has been carrying on an affair with a subordinate while divorcing his wife. It may affect the team. Actions have consequences. Not my finest prose, but I was 12 and shaking. Then I picked up her phone. Same thing. Found her boss, typed, FYI. Employee is involved in a relationship with a coworker who's married and it started during work hours. Thought HR should know. I added a few choice words, nothing too graphic, but 12-year-old me went for the moral sledgehammer. Her phone pinged first. She came back to grab something and stopped cold. What did you do? Her voice pitched up, then she screamed. What did you do? Did you text my boss? I froze, then laughed, nervous, ugly, the kind of laugh that makes adults angrier. She called me a little shit. Dad rushed in, grabbed his phone, and his face went from tan to chalk. He didn't shout. He did the tight jaw adult thing. Why would you do that? I said, and I remember this exactly because it felt like tossing a match, because actions have consequences. You told me that. Chaos. She demanded I apologize immediately. I refused. She said I'd ruined her career, their reputations, their everything. I shrugged like an idiot. Dad told me to sit, breathe, think. I told him I'd had a lot of time to think already. The fallout dragged on for a year. They tried grounding me. I didn't live with them, so good luck. They tried guilting me. I was 12 and bottomed out on empathy. I bragged, way too much, about how there was nobody I wouldn't tell. Eventually, they stopped inviting me over because I wouldn't apologize. Dad tried a few let's talk like men attempts. I said I'd talk when he apologized to Mom for breaking our family. He didn't. Fast forward to last weekend's dinner. My grandparents did their usual Sunday spread, garlic bread, roast chicken, lemonade, and sweating glasses. The table was crammed with cousins and aunts and uncles. Dad and his wife walked in like a weather front. I was polite. I said hello. I kept my eyes on the potatoes. We almost made it through the meal before she brought it up. You know, she said, stabbing her fork into salad. Someone at this table ruined our reputations when he was a kid. The room went silent except for the old clock. My grandma said, not tonight. But the wife kept going. You texted my boss and his boss. You could have cost us everything. You owe us a huge apology. I put down my fork. You really don't want me to answer that. She leaned in. No, I want you to answer it. Okay, I said. Actions have consequences. That's what I expected. She flushed. Dad said my name, low and warning. I leaned back. I'm not apologizing. She tried to pick a fight. I didn't bite. My grandparents told her to stop. She sulked, whisper complaining to my dad. An hour later, she tried again, apologize. Right now, my grandparents, bless them, asked her and Dad to leave. We regret inviting you, my grandpa said, which is basically DEFCON 1 in grandparent talk. People will say I crossed a line at 12. They're probably right. But here's the thing, 12-year-old me felt powerless. Divorce doesn't ask for your vote. It just rearranges your life and tells you to cooperate. I'd watched my mom shrink into herself. I'd watched my dad swap our family for a woman who smiled at me like customer service. I couldn't make him stop, couldn't make him see me, but I could make it messy. I could make it matter. I didn't do it to get them fired. I did it because secrets were eating me alive. Adults kept saying, it's complicated. 12-year-old me translated that as, we're allowed to hurt you if we say it nicely. I wanted someone in their world, someone with power, to look at them and say, not okay. Do I regret the blast radius? Not really. If you risk your job to have an affair with a coworker, that's a risk you chose. I didn't create the risk. I merely CC'd HR. And yeah, I gloated back then. That part makes me wince now. But the core, telling the truth to the people who needed to know. That still feels honest. After they left, the table loosened like a held breath. A couple of my aunts and uncles laughed. One uncle said, honestly, hilarious. Then he added a bomb. Apparently Dad and his wife have each cheated on the other since. At least 3 times, he said. They're sensitive about it. That part made me feel wickedly validated. Petty, yes, but also like, I wasn't crazy at 12, the pattern was the point. Not everyone cheered. One aunt pulled me aside. For the sake of the evening, you could have apologized, she said. Not for the past, for the table. I get where she's coming from. There's the moral fight, and then there's manners. I apologize to my grandparents for the stress, because I do care about them. But I won't apologize to Dad or his wife for sending those messages when I was a kid drowning in adult decisions. Among my friends, the reactions are split along lines of who has divorcing parents. The ones who do, they get it. The ones who don't think I was a chaos goblin. Both can be true. 12-year-old me was a chaos goblin with a point. So here I am, 8 years later, still not sorry, and now the dinner where we were supposed to be civil ended with my grandparents asking my dad to leave. Part of me is proud, part of me is exhausted. I don't want a forever feud. I also don't want to hand them an apology they think erases the original harm. AITA for refusing to apologize, then or now. Update. First, my dad texted me. It wasn't a novel, just, can we talk? He asked to meet for coffee without his wife. I said yes if it stayed on 2 topics, what happened at dinner and boundaries going forward. We met at a quiet cafe. He looked older in a way that wasn't just wrinkles. Heavy, like he'd been carrying a backpack full of rocks. He said, I should have shut the conversation down. That was on me. Then he tried to pivot into, but the texts harmed us. I stopped him. It harmed me when you cheated on Mom, and then expected me to respect your secret, I said. He didn't argue. He asked if I ever worry it'll haunt me. I said it already did, and then it stopped, because I chose to tell the truth. He didn't get the apology he wanted. I didn't get the apology I wanted either, not really. But we agreed on a boundary. If we're in the same room, no one brings up the texts again. If his wife brings it up, I leave. He nodded. Fair. Second, my aunt, the one who said I should have apologized, called me. She clarified she meant a table manners apology to keep the peace, not a moral one. That actually helped. I wrote my grandparents a short note. I'm sorry your dinner became stressful. They texted back a heart emoji and a picture of my grandpa's garden tomato like it was a peace treaty. One more curveball. A cousin confirmed the rumor that Dad and his wife had incidents with other people even after they got married. I don't need the details. It just underlined the pattern for me. And I decided something. I don't want to be the family's historian of bad decisions. I want to visit my grandparents, finish school, and build my own life. So no, I still haven't apologized to Dad or his wife for the messages I sent at 12. I have, however, apologized for the dinner blow-up to the people who cook for me and love me unconditionally. And I set a clear boundary with my dad. That feels like growth I can live with. If you think I still owe a real apology, tell me what that would even look like, and who it would heal. Because right now, the only apology I'm interested in is the one my parents never gave 12-year-old me.